mom? Taylor?
That's Denise.
Denise is the mom
Denise.
of
She
Yeah.
talks to him slowly, and he's able to understand.
Mm-hmm. He just can't
Fine.
really respond very well.
Yeah.
I irrationally feel like I don't like the name Denise. So I don't know. Reminds me of an old person.
Like this woman that I don't like.
Yeah. But I had to look it up because I was like, I feel like this book is not recent, like the way they're describing stuff. And it was written in 2000.
Yeah.
Or published in 2000. So I was like, okay, that's why no one has a cell phone. And they're, talking about $230 in the bank.
That wouldn't last a day.
Yeah, not in today's economy.
Wasn't all these gas prices.
That's that's the gas for the car.
Yeah.
Especially a Datsun.
Yeah.
I mean, we spent like a fourth of the book just talking about the accident.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting because by the time they found the kid, I was like, honestly, that sounds like a good book. The end. I'm like, what else are we gonna get? And then we started, because I mean that was the description in the back, but we got a little more detail. And then we started going into Taylor stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. What are you gonna throw at us now? I just thought it was like I can kind of see what would happen, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know.
It was kind of an intense beginning compared to other books where we've said, oh, we want like some action to happen, and it's slow at the beginning.
Especially, I feel like with Nicholas Sparks, I feel like other books that we've read of, or I've read of his, is like a very slow beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely very action-packed. I almost thought that that they weren't going to find the kid, but I don't know why I even thought that, because this is a Nicholas Sparks book and they're not going to I don't know, but like the way it was, I was feeling like very like, wow, I'm it's not looking good kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I guess I was invested.
I kind of felt the same way, but more because like I feel like she is so, I mean, is it kind of fucked up where she's still like tied down to this kid because of his needs? And
yes.
It's like, is it almost like not a relief, but like I don't know what to say in a nicer way without sounding bad.
I got those vibes too, Crystal. I feel like I don't know. I don't want to judge, but also I feel like, obviously she's in this situation where she doesn't have resources, and I guess she doesn't have any like assistance from, other things, which I don't know why she couldn't apply for certain things, but either way, sounds like she's on her own. But I also feel like it's a little bit unhealthy because she seems like to revolve her entire existence around her son. And I understand that maybe like there's no other way, and that's like the situation that she's in, but I also feel like it's very unhealthy and like just not like, how does someone continue to live when that's like their entire focus? I feel like she can't even you're not even taking care of yourself at that point. You have to take care of yourself to be able to take care of your kid. So
I definitely got that vibe when she's like, I mean, she had gone to go see a doctor, right? And then she's like, oh, he's been misdiagnosed like tons of times. I feel like that's kind of just like exhausting, because she's like, oh, she's kind of like taking it upon herself, like to figure out what is wrong with him. She's like, oh, homeschooling. So it's like she literally spends all day, every day with just him.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that I sense that the main character might be a little bit stubborn because, like you said, there's help available, for single moms and for people living below the poverty line. And I also thought it was interesting that she said, like, oh, the only progress he's made has been with tutoring that I've done. And I'm just like, well, that's interesting because I don't think it's healthy to strap a child to a chair. I was kind of shocked at that part. It kind of freaks me out. Like, that would be like a CPS call as a teacher, if you found out about that. But she is or was a teacher, so I was tripping. I'm like, my mind can't wrap around this.
Maybe that's the only reason why she's seeing like improvements is because she's like hammering him. Like,
Mhm.
you know, if you were to go into therapy, like regular speech therapy, it'd be what, maybe twice, 3 times a week max.
Mhm.
So she's like doubling the load work on him.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes, from what little I've seen, I don't have a ton of experience, but I feel like sometimes parents aren't willing to admit that their child might have special needs, and then I just feel bad because they tell me like, oh yeah, we're practicing 2 hours after school on flashcards or this or that, but they've already been in school for 6 hours. So I'm like, oh no, like poor kids. Just because there comes a time when you have to face the reality of like, oh, my child might have special needs, or my child doesn't like to do this or that, and I can't imagine how difficult it must be. But as a teacher, it's kind of like hard to like give like the news of a student not being academically well, because it's just like a tricky conversation usually. But for some students that I've seen, it's like delayed speech usually is a factor that the psych asks about when they do like assessments and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a little strange that, well, I mean, who knows? Maybe it really is this way, but I feel like it's strange that she takes her son to all these doctors, and she takes her son to all of these specialists, and she seems convinced that they don't know enough, that she knows more than them. And I think that's a little, I don't know, but also like, I don't
Inflated
know,
ego.
maybe because she's in such a small town, there's not very good resources also.
Maybe.
So
That's a good point.
I guess
So
I could see it.
It sounds like she's going back to her hometown. I'm kind of like
Yeah.
curious to know why. Because it's
I
like,
think it's
oh,
because of the
maybe she
house,
can,
because she can live in that house rent free. The house that her mom owned, right? Like the one that has no AC and is like sagging.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's the only reason why she's there, is because she wanted to live somewhere where she didn't have to pay rent. I think, right? Is that
Yeah,
right?
I think she's been living there the whole time, and they mentioned that she's coming from Duke, from like some evaluation, and that's why she's in the storm. So she's been living in her hometown. She wanted to leave, I think they said, but she just ended up staying there with Kyle. I think because she had limited resources, money, all that stuff.
oh, we got an email.
Also, I don't know how it works, but I feel like with how strapped she is and the fact that her son has, these special needs, like couldn't she sue the dad for some child support or something? Or I don't know, like maybe it's extremely expensive. I really don't know. Like maybe it's extremely expensive and is not, like, I don't know, a viable option. But I'm like, girl, like he totally just like said, I don't want to be involved, I don't care, but like this kid needs a lot of help.
Yeah.
I don't know. He seems like an asshole, so maybe go and take him
like
for
pride.
something.
I think it must be pride because of how the guy said he would like fight back if she tried to get child support from him. But I feel like she's trying to go as long as she can with what little financial resources she has, and then there's going to come a point where something's going to come up where it's going to run out. So I wonder what will happen then.
Definitely a pride thing with her.
Yeah.
For sure.
I feel like that's true because one, she's not accepting. I mean, she's listening to the doctors, but the fact that she's going crazy, doing her own research and buying all these books that are expensive, and they're like, this doesn't work, this didn't work, and all that stuff. It's her ego.
I feel
I
like
wonder, does she not have insurance?
Oh, maybe.
Almost
Probably not, because even then, like, there wasn't like the Affordable Care Act where you could like buy. So if you didn't have insurance, you didn't have anything, right? I guess you could, but wait, couldn't she do Medi-Cal or Medicare? Sorry,
She could, yeah.
Couldn't she do that? I was on Medi-Cal for a while. It wasn't great, but it's there.
It was something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also feel like she did lose a lot of her family when she was young, and it's like the time period where I guess if they were alive, they would somehow help her or guide her a little bit. and I feel like she was just grieving, and now with the child, and she just kept going through life without really.
That made
Now,
it click
although
for
she went to
me.
the library, so I don't know.
Do you think that because she had like the loss of all these kind of like more adult figures that might have helped her, like she lost them all at a very young age, she's kind of like, well, screw it, I guess I'm supposed to do everything by myself in this life, and that's kind of fueling her hesitancy to want to ask for help. I do feel like
Mhm.
all the psych books are kind of reminding me of Google, you know, because like when you look stuff up and you're like, oh, it could be this, but you still need like the proper education to understand what it is in the books, you know, when you see it in a person.
Mhm.
I think that's what it must be though, like that loss and the grief, like channeling her behavior in terms of like the kind of stressful situation of having a child. So she might be like in survival mode and might not be making like what we would consider more reasonable choices.
I really wonder though if the author is like, we're all noticing this, but I'm interested to see if the author intended this as, you know, or whether he's in his mind it's noble and it's like heroism, you know, because I feel like also, especially like, I mean, this book is written in the 90s, but like in the 80s, it's like, you know, welfare is for like people that can't like pull themselves up, and like, you know what I mean? Like, so I almost wonder if like he's writing this as like, oh, look at this like really strong, determined woman and how she can succeed everything and do everything on her own. And like Taylor needs to learn from her. So I'm very curious because I feel like we're all noticing this, but I don't know if the author intended us to notice it or not. So I'm really curious to see like how the novel keeps going, like whether this is going to be framed as like an issue or an asset.
True. That's really interesting to say actually, is like if it's like being practical or is it like feeding into like the bootstrap American idealism. There is a reading group discussion guide at the end of this book too. I'm afraid to look at it in case there's spoilers, but I wonder if one of the questions might be about that.
Oh, I don't have
Yeah, I'm
that.
afraid to look at it too.
Oh,
Well,
you
I don't have
that?
it, but if I did have it.
I just
I
have
can
the author's note. And
I'll
same
read
here.
the questions in the last meeting if you guys want me to.
What's I gonna say?
Because it's kind of interesting how Taylor is sort of not as explicitly, but he's framed a little bit in the same way, because he's like, he did his own way and he like, you know, has his own business and he, you know, had to work and struggle and sacrifice, but he made it. You know, and like he doesn't live a big life, but he lives a comfortable life. I feel like that for that one, it's not like quite as, you know, like problematic in our minds because he doesn't have a kid. He's a single person. So he's, you know, like on his own way. Whereas with Denise, like we're worried about it because she has a kid and because like she's not necessarily like doing things for herself. But I feel like it's a similar kind of mindset there. So that's why I'm wondering, like, are they going to bond over that, or are they going to, like, I don't know, try to realize that maybe they both need help and then try to help each other? I don't know. I'm curious.
I would like if it was about asking for help, but yeah, that's a really good observation.
I feel like it, I mean, yeah, that could come across as like strength and like independence and all that stuff, but I feel like maybe it could also be the weakness. And you know how it's so weird how, I mean, it's a small town and everything is like somehow connected, like the mom with her mom and then the library, like everything is just so intertwined. And I feel like because what was her name? Oh, Judy. Because she noticed that she knew her mom and all that stuff. She's like, look at her, yes, being strong or whatever, but also like she needs help, and she sees that as a weakness and be like, well, we can help her. We're a big community, or like not even a big community, a small community that cares. Because she was like, oh, why were they helping? It's like the little town cares. And I think in that aspect, maybe it's more of a weakness that she's not asking for help.
I agree.
Judy is like, hey, Taylor, help her out. I don't know. But I also feel like Denise, I forgot her name, is more like she's gonna pay more attention to Taylor just because, oh look, you found me and then you helped my kid and all that stuff. And I'm like, I don't know, I feel like there's a word they describe it.
A savior figure.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
godlike or like a hero, and you just have to be
The
with
hero is a
them
good one
because they
too.
helped you, and you're like, you are my Prince Charming.
Especially
Mhm.
because I think Kyle kind of felt really comfortable with Taylor, right? The book was saying like, oh, he's not letting him go. He's resistant to like go away from him. So
Yeah.
I think it's gonna, I don't know, I feel like it almost seems like a little bit forced to me compared to other like Nicholas Sparks novels
Yeah.
in terms of building the romance. I'm really curious to see how it's gonna play out.
I also found it interesting that after the whole event, the little boy was talking more. So it's like the trauma kind of helped them to, say more things. Because the mom wasn't, in little moments, it was like, oh, Kyle, say this. And then he would say it. But then there was other moments where he was just saying stuff. And it's like, it's not
Like
that
on
he
his
didn't
own.
know. It's just, maybe now he's realizing like if there's huge traumatic events where he just needs to, maybe he should keep practicing.
I wonder if
Well,
he's a
also, I think-
self-selected mute.
Was that?
A self-selected mute, like when kids decide just to not talk and there's nothing
Yeah.
else wrong with
Yeah,
them.
like some trauma, which I found
Mhm.
it's like the opposite, right?
Mhm.
So maybe something traumatic happened and that's why he's not talking in the
Mhm.
beginning. I don't know.
I also hope that it doesn't just turn out that like he's the savior and that's all that there is. Like I
Sure.
hope that it's a little bit more complex than that because if it's just like him saving her, I don't think that that's really a lot of growth
Yeah.
from either of them.
Yeah.
So like yeah, she would learn to accept help from him, but I feel like it's a bigger thing. But again, like I don't know.
Mhm.
Maybe they're not going to go into that. I'm really curious.
I mean,
I wonder-
it's pretty thick.
Yeah.
That's true.
I'm trying to remember if for the previous book, the other book, if Nicholas Sparks did that with characters. I want to say maybe. But maybe not. Because I remember there was that one friend and the one that the girl was supposed, I already forgot the character names, but the girl was supposed to be with the best
Mike.
friend.
Mike was the boy and Richard was the guy, but I can't remember the name of the girl.
Richard.
Yeah,
Fucking
so
Richard.
so Mike was the super nice one or whatever, and he was always like, oh, too kind. I don't think he really developed as a character. So I
Mhm.
feel like in that aspect, I don't know. It might be that that's just gonna be Taylor, and there's nothing much about him being a savior. But I feel like for Richard, he was kind of complex. So I think it'd go either way.
My
What
coworker.
if? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Real quick, my coworker told me she went to Costco with her husband and she saw a lady that had a shirt that said "Don't be a Richard," and then she asked the lady like, "What does this shirt mean?" And my coworker, she's pretty. What is the word like when you like don't think dirty-minded and things like that? And so then the lady said, "Well, think of the other way to say Richard." And my coworker was like, "Oh." So then she told me, and I had to tell the story of like what happened with Richard. But it was very funny.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. And I feel like we should make shirts.
It should be
Oh, yeah.
on the
Book.
shirt. Don't be
I
a
need to
Richard.
read that book though.
You should.
I feel like I've heard so much about
Yeah,
this.
Did you guys
yeah.
ever watch Friends?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
the other
the
Richard.
Richard from
Also,
Friends.
I did not like that Richard.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
kinky. That's why.
Gosh.
It was her friend, her dad's friend, which was
Mhm.
never
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
No, that's disgusting.
Hmm.
He's like twice her age, and then
And
still
he
try
like
to win her back
literally
later
watched
on.
her grow up and is friends with her dad. Ugh,
Mm.
that's
Fine,
nasty.
don't be a Richard.
Oh my gosh. I started watching, I saw The Time Traveler's Wife as the movie, and I have the book, but I haven't read it. And HBO has the series. And that just reminded me of that because it's like, oh, well, you groomed me. And it's like, no, I didn't groom you. You're the one who created this like picture around you and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, interesting. It relates to that, Richard. How,
See, it's all Richards.
yeah.
I can make bookmarks. Um,
Done
does
your
anyone
research.
think the mom is gonna try to ship like Denise and Taylor because she's already there in the hospital room? She's gonna be like, oh, she's pretty like her mom. Oh, my son's single. You know, there's already a
yeah.
grandchild there, basically an adopted grandchild. You know, so I think the mom's gonna have like
100%.
influence.
I think that's my theory. I think the rescue is the mom, Denise, and not the dude.
Oh,
Oh, I didn't even
Because
think
she's a
about
librarian.
Kyle.
Because she's a librarian, she kind of knew how to talk to Kyle. Kyle's a kid, right?
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like maybe she's the one that helps her and finally, like, I don't know, like, helps Kyle with his disability
Mm.
and, like, kind of rescues her in a way because it kind of uplifts that, like,
Maybe she'll.
responsibility off of her.
Uh-huh. Maybe
I
she'll
would
teach
like
Denise.
that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think that'd be
Latino
sweet.
empowerment.
Because she obviously has a really big part because I feel like she came in right away at the beginning of the book and she was with her. For some reason, she had a feeling that she had to be there at the hospital. She's like, she needs someone to be here with her. She's
Mhm.
alone and she's scared. And she said she was really good friends with her mom growing up. So I'm
And-
like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's gonna have something there.
Yeah. I found that interesting that she pretty much just walked in and they told her,
Yeah.
oh yeah, she's in room 217. No visitors right now, but you can come tomorrow and you don't need anything. Just walk in.
That's how small towns are. I'll tell you that.
It's also a
No.
small town, right? Maybe it's like, oh, they're very trustworthy of everybody because it's a small town. So it's like a tight community.
Yeah, but it just that's not I don't think that's realistic. And then it got me thinking about the shooting in Oklahoma where it was a hospital and they just walked in. Yeah.
The same shit's gonna happen here, where it's like now they have like, at least in Santa Barbara, they have codes at every fucking door, security at every door. It's like, who are you here for?
Are you a
To
relative?
check your
No, you're not a
belongings.
relative.
They only let a max of certain people up, and like, or in each room, like depending how close of family you are, like, fucking screen your blood and shit. I don't know.
I was waiting to hear what lie she was gonna say. I'm like, I'm the mom, but then she never. She didn't need it, and I was like,
That'd be creepy if she said she was the mom, though. Like,
yeah.
I guess she just like, I mean, another flag that this is not in modern times. Also, that there's like no
Mhm.
cameras. There's no, like, she just like, they also just were kind of like, oh, okay, well, fine, you're here, I guess.
Yeah. She's also very well known. The fact that she was calling all these like main people, what were they calling, the captain or the sheriff?
response
or
teams,
something.
yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, lucky Denise that like she was there to help her out and ease some of her like stress.
Mm-hmm.
So she is definitely the rescue. Go Judy. Not because of her name, but you know.
Yeah, it's almost Judy.
Yeah. Let's see.
Wait, have we read one yet where it's somebody's name in the group? I'm sure we have, but
I don't think so.
Wait, well, I mean, this doesn't count because it wasn't like with everyone, but that question made me remember that I'm pretty sure the name of the guardian, the girl, is Julie, isn't it? I'm gonna look at it.
Yes. But Julie wasn't around.
That's what I'm
wasn't
saying.
in
No,
the
I
group
can't be
yet.
yes to the question, but
one day it will happen.
Interesting.
And she's the main character.
And it will not happen with my name. Well, definitely not.
You never know. We've read some books with like names I've never heard before. Sometimes people can get creative. What is it?
The Guardian,
Guardian.
June 4th, 20. I
So
couldn't.
it was the June book 2 years ago.
2-year
Yeah.
anniversary.
Yeah.
Congratulations, everyone.
The Guardian.
So
And the rescue.
June is Nicholas Sparks month.
I couldn't find my
Only
notebook
June. Just kidding.
because I have 2 of these red ones. Obviously, I found it later when I was taking notes. So then I'm like, I'm just gonna use my old one, and I found some space, and I didn't realize that literally the beginning is the Guardian, and it does say Julie and Mike and Richard.
Richard.
Okay, Richard.
Remember we said we were gonna make stickers and a hat or something?
Oh, here's the
Because
quote.
we were like, we hated him with a passion.
No,
He's like,
Judith was the
"Sweet."
one like maybe he'll turn out okay. Me pessimistic, like I don't think so.
I am naive. I'm a hopeless romantic and I want to believe in good.
Not in my dark Vanessa.
Almost obvious. In this one, I don't think we have a bad guy.
Yet.
Do you
Yeah.
think so?
I mean, he kind of throws some of that stuff in. Like, what was that other book of his? See Me or something like that. There was like a weird guy that came back and kept stalking the girl. The Guardian, also, the guy turns bad and is like wanting to murder her.
I did find it interesting that I think when they were saying like, oh, everyone went to go look for Kyle, even the trucker that wanted to help, I'm like, why are you mentioning the trucker?
Like, who's
Like,
this trucker?
I don't know.
Maybe he caused the accident. What if it wasn't a deer?
Mhm.
And she thought it was a deer because she said something about the eyes, right? What if it was like, I don't know, he shined a flashlight or something?
I feel
Was
like
on
the
all
bad guy
fours.
is the baby daddy,
Yeah.
Oh, that's
and I hope that they sue him.
Well, what if the baby daddy comes back or something? He changes his mind, tries to get custody
Mm.
because he recognizes that if Kyle
In
does
the
get diagnosed
paper or
with a disability,
something.
yeah, he can get like money from the government or something. I don't know.
He
Oh,
sees
that's
them in
true.
the paper and then he contacts them and he's like, "You're abusing my child. Negligence."
They did say that they're the talk of the town. Maybe he hears about it somehow.
huh.
Oh, I have a story related to this, but I'll tell it after.
Ooh.
I found it interesting that when it was talking about a car accident, I thought she was gonna like hit another car, and then that would cause some drama. Like that was just me thinking about it, and I don't know how the little boy was gonna get lost, but this is not what I imagined. Like her, she hit a tree, no, or she flipped.
I think she flipped and then hit a tree.
Yeah.
I think it hit, because it was upside down because she was dangling. And she said when she looked back, his seatbelt was undone and the door was open. Or
Yeah.
maybe I'm just envisioning it have been flipped.
I thought I envisioned it just that she was really disoriented and then she hit the tree, but I don't know.
Or maybe
I just remember it ended with a tree.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I was
'Cause then,
waiting
like,
for the car, and it was like, no, it's a tree.
Because she said something like it slid, right? Because, okay, so she's driving.
I think
She
she
sees a
hydroplaned.
deer.
Right?
Yeah, she went something like that and it like slides or something. She sees a tree. So maybe, probably just so. Because like if she just went and then. Because
It was scary though, listening to it. I was like, ugh. I don't know. I thought this whole first half was well done. Like I'm not familiar. I feel like I've read The Notebook. I've seen The Notebook and seen A Walk to Remember. So I haven't really read his books, but I was like, like you guys were saying, it's normally more slow paced, but I thought this was like pretty engaging. Like
Mhm.
because you can
action
envision it really
writing.
well, right? Like when
Yeah.
she's the rain of when she goes into the gas station and she gets the chocolate milk and the little girl
Mhm.
behind her and screaming. Oh, that lady that says you're lucky. Like what?
Must
Like
have.
what was that about? I was like, lucky for what? It just had me thinking like lucky for what? Because she doesn't know the kid, like her kid.
Because her kid was wild, like saying, I want this, Mama, I want this. And
But didn't she
Kyle-
leave Kyle in the car?
No, Kyle was with her.
No. Yeah.
It
Dude,
said
was
like it was nighttime or something, or it was a storm, so she brought him down. But I think the book was kind of saying that if it was a quicker line, or if it wasn't a storm, or it wasn't dark, she might have left him in the car. So I thought he might have been
Oh,
kidnapped
okay.
there too if she had left him in the car.
Yeah,
You're not supposed to leave your kids in the car.
he came with her, and he was drinking some like strawberry milk,
Woohoo. Yeah,
and he was
like
just
a
there
woohoo
calm
or
next to
something.
her. So that's why she was like, oh, you're lucky. And she's like, no, you're the lucky one. And I'm like, oh, the child has something. And I'm like, wow, I didn't see that one coming either. But it's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was cool how the author revealed it. He didn't make it super obvious. You kind of have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not obvious at all. Like it took a little bit of time
Hmm.
to fully reveal what was going on. Like it that we didn't really know till she was talking with the doctor, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's good writing. Good writing, Nicholas.
Yeah, I feel like it's descriptive enough to make it really easy for us to envision it, but it moves along enough for us not to get impatient.
And that's why he has so many movies.
You know, it's the formula. Yes.
Although, why did this one not make it? They're like, nah, not rom-com enough.
Or
Maybe.
yet, now they're making so many more books into movies
Yeah.
or TV series.
I
So,
wonder
don't know,
if
maybe
I'm
there's
gonna
just
look
so
it up.
many books. What if it isn't into a movie? It just wasn't huge.
Maybe. The next section, I realized that saying that we were gonna gauge whether 100 or not was okay when we had a whole extra week isn't very, helpful. But what did you guys think? Is that kind of okay?
I thought it was great. It was super easy to read. I feel like it flowed really nicely.
Agree.
Yeah, it was no issue.
Honestly, I read it in like 2 days.
I read it all today.
Yeah.
Wondering yet again if she made the right.
Ugh, pause. I don't really like the narrator's voice, but he's okay.
I started listening to the beginning. It's I think it's interesting when Kyle is speaking. I was like, oh, that's cute. Hey, Sawi. I was like, oh, yeah.
He's okay. He's not like, he kind of just sounds like I don't know. It's very like old school, so I don't love
yeah.
that, but it's okay.
Up to 11 to 15, so don't reach 16.
Got it.
Wow, chapter 22 is an hour in the audiobook. An hour.
Oh yeah.
And chapter 15 is 40 minutes in the audiobook.
Yeah.
Wow.
That one is long. It's interesting because we went from 1 to 10 and then it's like only 5 chapters the following one.
Yeah, they're long.
Because, they're longer.
I wonder why those are so much longer. Like, what's gonna happen in those chapters?
Yeah. Some of these were quick. You're like, oh shoot, I'm already there.
Well, maybe it's because the beginning was so action-packed and it kind of went between different perspectives, and then it's gonna be more stretched out.
Yeah. So far, so good.
How old do you think, what's the main character's name? What's her name?
Denise.
Denise is 29.
And
It's not
Taylor's
Denise.
36.
I thought Denise was Taylor's mom.
Oh no, I think I messed that up at the beginning. Yeah, Denise is the main character. Judy is the mom. So Denise is 29 and Taylor is 36.
Yeah.
Okay, it'd be gross if they hooked up then, because that's a really big age gap.
You said what?
Isn't that a big age gap?
Yeah.
7
I
years.
was like, no.
Nah,
In
My
my
parents were 8 years apart.
that's not that big.
My parents were 8 years apart.
I guess it depends.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think it depends on the person. For me, yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, such a big gap. But
Oh
in
my god, I
reality,
tell my coworker all the time. 'Cause
10
she's like,
plus.
she's 27 and she's dating a guy who's 33. But he's like so immature. And I'm always talking shit.
Well, that'll be me in a few months. So.
No, but he's just not nice.
When's your birthday?
November.
Or November.
Dia de los
September.
Muertos.
November.
Oh, that's a cool birthday.
Yeah, I'm witchy.
I was actually gonna ask Krista when you were talking about, was it your niece? Cousin?
My cousin?
I was gonna ask when her birthday was, if it was around Halloween, if they were super into.
Let me look.
You don't know?
All right, Judith, if you stop recording, I can tell you guys a story.
Oh yes. Next week, same time. Bye.
Bye.